So what a year, right? So NineLine Veteran Services really took a chunk into service above self. We looked at the reality of what things could be, how we can best serve the needs of our community, and addressing our literally homeless, at risk, and most needed indigent veteran population. That included families of those veterans, active service members, Guard, Reserve, just a lot of things. I'm very proud of that fact. NineLine's done a lot of things this year in looking at how we can address those needs. Our very own Veronica Davis is the one who kicked off the year with Service Above Self, targeting events with outreach. If I remember correctly, it was January 22nd. Veronica told me that she wanted to do a series of micro events to reach the need of the community. And so she actually went and she set up at Titlow Park, and she brought food, soup, clothes. Community partners came out there. We had support from our own board members, Tony Dayton and Jesse McAdams, who just brought an amazing turnout. The comprehensive nature of the program was just to be able to reach individuals and let them know what was available to them, whether it was VA, whether it was a state VA, whether it was NineLine services. I mean, the list went on. We just had an amazing year, and it just continued on. We got to hang out with some of our awesome community partners, whether it was Boeing, whether it was Keller Williams, Microsoft. They all engaged with us. I couldn't actually believe, looking at the comprehensive nature of what we do, whether it's our housing, our employment, our support services, our mental health. I couldn't, in my mind, fathom what 2022 was going to look like and how that was going to really play out, But it did. One of my fondest memories of this year, looking back, is our ability to work with Representative Orwell. Tina's amazing. She really brought a lot to light when it came to legislative testifying on House Bill 1181. As you know, NineLine takes pride in our government affairs. We take the time to get to understand who we're working with. And this year, we were able to actually sit down, look at, and address what mental health needs really looked like. So House Bill 1181 was one of the takeaways from the Governor's Challenge underneath SAMHSA, the federal VA, state VA, and our counterparts in the nonprofit sector, which include NineLine as a national partner. It allowed us to look at funding resources, allocation of those resources, and better understanding what our community needs. Practical application of what longevity for the state suicide and national suicide prevention plan would look like over the next 8 years. We were able to also take that and run with it. When I say that NineLine is severely grateful and very blessed to be able to work with so many community partners, it really is an understatement. Dr. Joe Jarowski, part of a member of Task C and retired infantry lieutenant colonel, all around badass, decided that he was going to partner with us underneath this Governor's Challenge initiative. And so part of that was bringing on the ETS sponsorship program with General Mike Eastman and several other community members. So that program allowed us to bridge the connectivity to active duty service members coming in their last 90, 120, 160 days. Not only did that allow us to focus on how we can best serve them, it allowed us to build out a program and create measurables, tangible deliverables that we can show and how we're supporting these service members. Part of that initiative with Dr. Joe Jarowski was bringing on our state and federal partners and then housing it under a one-day training for cultural competency, looking at how we can best serve the tangible physical needs of our military veterans and their families in the state. What did that look like? The WDVA, ETS sponsorship, U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, and yours truly at NineLine. We were able to come together for a one-day training at the University of Washington, Tacoma, UW-T, bringing together all the different aspects from our federal, state, and nonprofit counterparts on a national platform. That means leveraging resources not only in the state of Washington, but stranding as far out as Washington, D.C., New York City, Texas, taking locations that have implemented successfully this model and then bringing it to the forefront in Washington state. Speaking of which, we shift over to our Seahawks counterparts, our Task Force 12, United We Serve. That's taking our 12 military nonprofit organizations and answering the call, working together to create and provide life-changing support to our military community, embracing our culture and sharing it. 12 military organizations underneath the umbrella of the Seattle Seahawks, from our Minority Veterans of America to our NineLine Veteran Services, all the way to our dog counterparts with Northwest Battle Buddies, Growing Veterans, and so many others. We've been able to come together and bridge that gap from across the state. So that way, if NineLine has a veteran who may be moving out to Wenatchee, Seattle, or any part or corner of the state, or even outside of the boundaries of the state, we have a partner there who's able to meet them, address their need, and work together to accommodate what the bigger picture is. This is also done through coordination with Nino Gray and Mike Flood, the leadership from the Seattle Seahawks that's working on outreach, supportive services, and better understanding the mechanisms that need to be in place to support our military veterans. We are forever grateful for this initiative. I would actually like to take a second and look at it as in, like, we're the Avengers of the veteran service world, you know, working together to accomplish this, what people said was an unaccomplished task. Think of it like this. If I say, I don't serve this unique population out in this rural area, that rural area still needs services. How do we reach them? How do we target them? Well, through collaboration, of course. We're not the only organization out there. We don't do it all. We do it pretty great, though. Selfish plug. But what we don't do is work alone, because we know that our veterans aren't alone. So therefore, it makes sense for us to work with you. And we're very blessed because the Seahawks have stepped up in that plate and allowed to support us, not only with their resources, their community partners, but also in supporting us directly with venues, with support mechanisms, with things that we can provide our military community. Thank you, Seahawks. We appreciate you. And this year wasn't left alone without any accolades. Not that we do this for accolades, but we are really good at getting them. Earlier this year, the city of Tacoma, Mayor Victoria Woodard, sent congratulations to Team NineLine and myself here for our employment and on-site training for recently homeless veterans. The City of Destiny Award was given to me, your president of NineLine Veteran Services, in support of our economic development category, working with our community partners at WorkSource, WorkFirst, and Workforce Development, creating jobs and entry-level positions for individuals who may be coming out of incarceration, who are transitioning within their first 30, 60, 90 days, who just need a hand up, not a handout. We've created a model of support that our own city of Tacoma, place we call home of the Tacoma Domed Veterans Resource Fair, copyright. We're just very blessed, truly. And looking at this year for what it was, it's amazing to know that we have the absolute support of such an amazing mayor, a generator, and a force to be reckoned with in her own right. So thank you, Mayor Woodard, for everything you've done to support NineLine and myself in our development of service to those who served. Unprecedentedly, we looked at the last couple of years where we knew people needed access to services. And because of COVID, we weren't able to actually physically be out there. So what we did over the last couple of years, to include this year, was bridge leadership across county lines. Earlier this year, myself, along with representatives from King County, to include Mayor Nancy Backus from the city of Auburn, and then our amazing team from the King County Veterans Program, the ETS sponsorship program, were able to look at the 5-year execution of the ETS program, how we can create bridge care, support, and understanding of our need and promise to our military communities. That wasn't done easily. That was several meetings over a period of several months to better help understand how we can bridge the pre-existing services into targeted, coordinated mechanisms, so that way we can extrapolate the data, help understand what the long-term plan was, and how we can better take pre-existing resources and consolidate them into one location. It was nothing short of amazing. So thank you, Mayor Backus and our team from King County. Additionally, NineLine this year celebrated 10 years in service to those who served. 10 years. To think that in 2012, we were able to introduce programming based on the feedback of a handful of veterans. I mean, who does that, right? I feel good about that. I do. 2012, we really hit the ground running with the Veterans Resource Fair. It was the very first targeted, coordinated labor of love that not only Pierce County got to experience, but on a statewide platform. We were able to bring in resources from all across the state, and it was a blessing in itself. So 10 years later, as we continue to expand those resources, not just locally, but through targeted care, coordinated entry, housing, mental health, employment, and then also on a national platform with our ETS sponsorship program and the support of your VA and WDVA, we've been able to reach rural areas with veterans who otherwise wouldn't get services or historically wouldn't understand what services were available to them. And again, looking at that for what it was, this year GI Jobs announced that they were supporting the things we were doing and noticing what we were doing on a nationwide platform, and therefore recognized NineLine as a 2022 Veteran Champion of the Year, and named yours truly, Shawn Durnen, Corporate Champion of the Year in Corporate America. So I was able to go out to Pittsburgh and meet with so many different amazing stakeholders and understand that we're not the only ones doing this work. And again, it elaborated on that supportive care and that coordinated care that we so pride ourselves on. It allowed us to expand our network. It allowed us to meet with other veterans, focus on our approach when it comes to case management, comprehensive planning, mental health first aid, and then making sure that the individuals we're serving do have access to those medical supports, those emotional supports, those social emotional skills that they need, and then introducing peer support-based comprehensive services underneath our umbrella with NineLine, and then alternative wellness programs such as Route Step Outdoors and things of similar nature to that. So it was a successful year when we talk about how we were able to bridge that gap into corporate America, but also how we continue to sustain as an organization serving those who served and their families. This year, unfortunately, we did have one of our original partners and one of our original board members, Mr. Francis Charles, resign from his role. Mr. Charles gave over 8 years of his life to this organization as my vice president and my second in command. Mr. Charles has done an amazing job in building the comprehensive plan behind Service Above Self, from our website design to our interactive services, also to his practical application of outreach and making sure that all of our staff, team members, board members, everyone felt a part of the process. Francis moved on to bigger, better things this year, however, is always still around to support us when we need him, and for that we are very thankful. We do miss you, sir, but we are grateful for all the things you've done to make this organization the organization it is today. We were able to run and work with external partners like International Paper. International Paper this year identified the post-housing crisis and state of emergency on housing needs, unprecedented freezing weather, and in its blessing in receiving friends like these employees of International Paper. They ran a targeted sock drive and resource drive. They provided over 1,700 pairs of dry socks, which, as we know, is one of the biggest things that homeless veterans need, let alone homeless individuals in general. We donated those socks to over 16 different organizations across the South Sound. And on top of that, we were able to also donate some funds that we received from other community stakeholders in reference to making sure that freezing nights in Pierce County did not go unsupported. We also targeted our community partners. Without our support of Fob Hope, Monique Brown and her team were facing some issues with, unfortunately, losing one of their housing, some of their housing, and then also having to find new areas to work out of. So, of course, NineLine raised the bar and going out and supporting her in our joint mission of service to those who served in their families. We spent a day out at Fob Hope, which is located in Tacoma, Washington. We allowed ourselves to build up their housing tents, to build up their food area, to help clear out the area, and then also provide some hot meals. And let me tell you that jambalaya was on point. We were very grateful in how we were able to come out and support Fob Hope and allow us to support Monique Brown in her continued mission of wanting to serve on the most local level. And one of my favorite things for the year, our work with Redefine You. My dear friend Shelly Willis, and I mean my dear friend Shelly Willis, who I draw motivation from. Sister Willis, if you are listening to this today, I am blessed to know you, my friend. We were able to, well, our female counterparts were able to attend the Redefining Your Future Symposium. This symposium was a one-day investment into our female veterans, not only allowing them to redefine their identity, understand what they bring to the workplace, understand the cultural community pieces that are associated with that, but providing the veteran resources, connecting the individuals with a new sense of purpose, and driving it home with a better understanding of how wonderful each person is and who they can be post-service. There's nothing small about that, folks. The Redefining You Foundation is something that continues to uplift, empower, and educate. And that, as you know, is one of our core missions at NineLine. So when I say that we are extremely grateful for the opportunity to partner with them on this and to support our sister Shelly, we are extremely grateful and cannot thank her enough for involving us in this. We also are very grateful for our proud partners at the United Healthcare. This year they brought on their newest member, Juan. He was able to bring home some dynamic on-site resources to include Medicare and Medicaid for our aging veterans. For those of you who don't know, NineLine does not just serve one demographic or one population of veterans. We serve everyone. If you wore a uniform, if you were out in the world, that's what we did. So Juan brought those resources out: backpacks, hand sanitizer, socks, all the things we needed from our partners. He was present for. He offered affordable options in Medicare and Medicaid to some of our aging veterans, and then also provided resources on site at different events that we hosted throughout the year. We're truly grateful for them as they continue to grow with us and have been growing with us for over the last 10 years. So thank you, United Healthcare. We appreciate your efforts and support. And for those of you who don't know, we were able to sign a national MOU with the National Center for Healthcare Advancement and Partnerships under the Veteran Sponsorship Partnership Network, the very first of its kind, where we were able to coordinate with over 44 different states under this Memorandum of Understanding with the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. The initiative also streamlines VHA partnerships with community organizations that can pair a service member with peer sponsors. These peer sponsors can provide one-on-one support during the military to civilian transition, a resource similar to the military sponsorship program under the Department of Defense. For the first time in history, bridging the gap between the federal, state, and nonprofit sectors, not only locally, but nationally. So if I have a veteran coming from Washington State to Texas, California, New York, I have someone on the other side that I can connect them with. Not a phone number, not a piece of paper, an actual person. It's a blessing, and it's truly appreciated in this day and age. And in May of this year, we had an amazing surprise when our outgoing representative for the VA Community Veteran Engagement Board, Mr. Mike Schindler, nominated myself and Rachel Turner Benson as the newest representatives for that Community Veteran Engagement Board underneath the Puget Sound partnership with the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, working with all the community stakeholders that VA hold closely, and then also managing expectations for local leaders in the community with the Puget Sound region. The CVEB provides the opportunity for community stakeholders to come together to discuss veteran issues, develop collaborative relationship with VA leadership. The Puget Sound Veteran Engagement Board raises awareness and increases education in the community on what it means to be a veteran and what services are available to our veterans. Service member and their families utilizing the collective impact approach. This is not a short-sighted mission, folks. The CVEB dates back 20 years. And this initiative allows us on the federal, state, nonprofit sector to coordinate services, approach what those immediate needs are, from the grassroots concepts of our applied tasks to our executive leadership on the different organizations and our federal leadership at the federal VA with our inherited tasks. This continues to grow out and be an initiative that people can rely on. So if you're interested in this, please feel free to email us at help@9line.org, or feel free to call us at 253-922-7225. We would love to have you engaged, and if your organization wants to get involved, this is a perfect way to do it. Part of that service above self model is also understanding our squad goals. Our squad goals was making sure that when we built out our program this year, that we were also looking at what the peer support application of that is. And traditionally, working with our Washington State Department of Veteran Affairs, we've been able to onboard our most recent addition to the team, Mr. Joshua Lopez. Josh comes to us from Washington State Vet Corps, which is an AmeriCorps affiliated program. Josh's passion is serving veterans. With that, he is working with us to develop programming and coordinate with existing programming to make sure that not only the human services needs of our veterans are being met, but also that the different educational, housing, homelessness, and supportive services needs are being met. Josh's disciplines consist of social services, homeless services, justice reintegration, and then also working in government affairs to approach the most pressing needs with our military veterans and their families. We're extremely excited to bring Josh on, and he has been an amazing asset this year. Also, if you would like to access this resource and talk to Josh personally, you can also call our office at 253-922-7225. And feel free to email him at vetcore@the word 9, number 9, wordline.org. He is available anytime, Monday through Friday. Now we go to the more relaxed part of it. See, at NineLine, we get to have a lot of fun with our community partners, but we also get to have a lot of fun with our veterans and our programming. It's not all about always being out on the road. It's about doing what we can to best provide positive outcomes to our military population, right? So this year, our program director for Route Step Outdoors, Ms. Fee Veery, along with one of our board directors, Mr. David Conkler, were able to have a more targeted fun day out. The Route Step Outdoors presents Off the Beaten Path, where we traditionally took out veterans and got to shoot a whole bunch of stuff, right? You look at it like this. What do veterans enjoy more than anything? Going out and wasting some gunpowder. That's what we're all about. So this year we were able to take out about 15 of our veterans in our programs to a range out in northeastern Washington. And the beautiful part about this was the range provided all the guns, ammunition for the day under the strict observation of a safety officer, and it was an umbrella and welfare building event. This event brought together positive relationships along with our special guest speaker, Mr. Mike Schindler from Operation Military Family, who was able to talk about understanding the stressors that come along with being a veteran, the civilian counterparts and how they don't necessarily understand, but then also redefining your purpose, creating as Mike has introduced to the community, VUCA, understanding what those volatilities are, understanding how you can repurpose them, refocus them, and then create them as a strength, not as a negativity. Understanding that they are there, they may never go away, but they can work on your behalf, not against you. So we are very appreciative for Mike, and we're very thankful for this amazing event. It really brought out some positive vibes, and then also was able to bring our veterans out into the community. On the latter part of that, the Washington State Governor's Challenge team was able to meet for the first time in almost 2 years. With post-COVID stresses up, it was nice to be able to come together as a team. I, along with several of my state and federal colleagues, were able to come together with our amazing partners like the National Guard, Department of Veteran Affairs, the University of Washington, and several other federal and state local nonprofits. The day showed promise in the shape of program involvement, engagement, and education, led by our very own team captain and suicide prevention manager, Miss Cody Garza. Cody continues to drive home what will be a long-term legacy and state suicide prevention plan for our service members, veterans, and their families. This initiative does not fall short on what it's doing not only locally here in Washington State, but nationally to 44 other states across the country. And these states continue to coordinate services, outreach, and networking to make sure that no veteran is left behind and their family members have the support mechanisms put in place to help them understand. But again, it's not just about how we're coordinating services, it's how we apply those services. NineLine Veteran Services, along with our partners at Keller Williams, on this amazing Red Day. Let me tell you about Red Day, folks. Red Day, once again, is where we rose to the challenge, working on so much needed projects in our homes. So for those of you who don't know, NineLine has six different houses. These houses serve anywhere between 24 to 27 veterans at any given time. It's a transitional housing program that allows 2 years worth of housing. So our friends at Keller Williams, for the second year in a row, came out for our National Red Day. And what they did was help us clean the houses, get rid of unneeded garbages. But we are also so grateful because our clients are able to return to their homes that are cleaner, more livable, and the construction projects that took place allowed us to have individuals who actually didn't have to worry about their roofs collapsing, about their walls caving in, their heat, their cold, all those things. So we are extremely grateful for that. So, on top of everything else that happened this year on the morale and welfare side, we were actually able to partner with some of our favorite people at Harley-Davidson. Harley Davidson of Emerald City was so cool to hang out with us. These people actually brought in Randy Couture, and we got to partner with the Randy Couture Foundation. We had military appreciation bike night where we were able to raise funds to support our houses, to support our programming. How awesome is that? Plus, we got to meet Randy Couture. Even better, right? So, we brought in that, and this year we got to focus on events at Lumen Field with our Seattle Seahawks and the Task Force 12. Those individuals brought in the Yes Vets initiative, which focuses on military employment and housing and economic development. The Washington State Department of Veteran Affairs, along with Boeing and the Washington Employment Security Department, came together to build up this event. We had veteran-owned food trucks there. We had veteran-owned employers and several military vehicles that were parked in front of Muckleshoot Plaza at Lumen Field. This event brought together hundreds of employers and veterans across the South Puget Sound to include Seattle, Tacoma, Pierce, King, Thurston counties. The turnout was amazing, and the experience coming in there was a lot of military culture, veteran understanding, and community development. And then this year I was honored again because it was a great year. Why not enjoy the accolades, right? So this year, under the South Sound Business Magazine, I was actually named one of the 40 under 40 in the South Sound Business Magazines for my recognition of my work with military, veterans, and their families. With a rich heritage here in the Pierce County area and Puget Sound, Tacoma Greater Area and Pierce County region, my friend Ty Ray, a local superstar and historically sports announcer, was one who actually gave me my award. It was a full circle concept as Ty Ray and I met in 2014 at a little coffee shop in Tacoma. And I say this because he's a great guy, and I hope he sees this, so thank you, Ty. But yeah, being recommended for a 40 under 40 award was nothing short of amazing. To be recognized by, once again, the City of Tacoma, South Sound Business Magazine, and then also nominated by several of my colleagues, it was nothing short of just great. And stuck in with what we already had done from this last summer with GI jobs and military-friendly employment and housing and support services. So again, being recognized on that national platform, but being recognized at home, there's no greater feeling. On top of our Red Day, we were also able to partner with our friends at Sherwin-Williams for the National Paint Week. National Paint Week brought out hundreds of volunteers to two of our homes in the Puget Sound. Not only did these individuals nominate and volunteer their time, but they came out and they painted our houses. They helped us make them actually look livable again, and helped some of our tenants understand that they didn't have to feel ashamed of where they called home. Because part of our job is to maintain the houses, the insides, but we've never really had the time to focus on the outsides. So again, our partners from Sherwin-Williams were able to come out, put forth the time, energy, and effort, and make the houses look great. And for that, we thank you so much. Our very own operations director, Veronica Davis, was leading the way this year with military spouse initiatives, Household 6 Proud. We appreciate her. And then representing us with the Gold Star families and our partners at the Task Force 12. This event was amazing. Nino Gray was present. So many of our community partners were present. It was almost like building a family from inwards out. And people don't appreciate how much Household 6 has to go through. And for those of you who are seeing this newsletter, you probably want to understand that Household 6 is that military spouse, if you don't already know. The individual who holds the house down, who's there, who represents everything that's going on when we're overseas or we're on combat training or those are the individuals who got overlooked, who didn't get the benefits that we did, and who also wasn't supported as much as we were. So for us to be able to shift some of our focus this year onto the Household 6 was amazing. Went out, met with the Gold Star families, celebrated them and their unfortunate losses, but we were able to support them with these amazing events and help them shed some remembrance on the folks that they've lost. And on a selfish note, we also got to celebrate not only a victory with Army beat Navy, but the 247th birthday of the United States Army. As an Army veteran, I could not have had a better year. Not only that, but most of the people who work here are Army veterans. And for our Navy vets that are a little pouty in the warehouse, it's okay. It's okay. So selfish plug. That said, we were also able to actually enjoy a little bit of some movie viewings. We got to go see the new Maverick, which was amazing if you haven't seen it yet, Top Gun Maverick, with special viewings from our partners at Boeing. Boeing, bringing you quality products since they've been bringing them to you. That also said, Boeing is one of our primary sponsors, and we appreciate them for their efforts in supporting our housing and employment track, because they recognize that our veterans have a lot to offer. Whether they were homeless, post-incarcerated, any of the above, we are able to support that population through the kind donations and support of our partners at Boeing. Boeing, being badass with aircrafts since as long as they've been being badass with aircrafts. Thank you. Again, NineLine wasn't remiss on the awards this year. Our partner Aaron Cooper from the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs joined NineLine's very own Veronica Davis for a spotlight night with the Tacoma-Pierce County Chamber, highlighting strong business leaders in the community. NineLine Veteran Services, of course, was on the top of that list as we received the Spotlight on Business Awards, Business Supporter of the Military of the Year. We are very proud of this honor and thank our local Pierce County Chamber for their support and continued advocacy and efficacy for our veterans, their families, and our military populations in this neighborhood. We could not do this without you. Then we got to bring home and hang out with the Seagals. Yes, ladies, we didn't forget you. So our Seattle Seahawks once again hosted our annual hiring event at Lumen Field. This event brought together so many different people, but we would be remiss if we didn't say how much fun it was to hang out with the Seagals, hang out in some really heavy equipment, and then also get to meet so many cool veterans just looking for a leg up. Then we shifted gears and headed out to Eastern Washington to hang out in Wenatchee. Wenatchee, where the 5th annual Serving Those Who Serve statewide conference was held, and where I personally got to meet one of the coolest people I've ever met and look forward to partnering with, Mr. David Puentes, Deputy Director of your Washington State Department of Veteran Affairs. This event brought together service providers from all around the state, understanding and coming together and talking about best practices, legislative supports and appeals, working together and understanding what the needs are on a grassroots level, and then also what the macro needs are when we talk about how we're implementing those resources and those understandings from across the state. As always, I got to hang out with your director of the Washington State Department of Veteran Affairs, Ms. Alfie Alvarado Ramos, who recently announced her retirement and has been one not only of many amazing mentors in my life, but for several across Washington State and nationally. So Alfie, on a complete side note, thank you for your years of service. We will miss you, but we appreciate everything you have done for us to get us to this point. We will hopefully carry on a legacy that you can be proud of. But the conference in general was an amazing thing. Again, it brought together all stakeholders from all corners of the state to come together and understand what the next 5 to 8 years looks like, and then also plan for next year's presentation of all the initiatives going on, both locally and nationally. We also talked about the state suicide prevention plan, and then PTSD awareness. You're not alone. NineLine Veteran Services recognizes this. Staggering enough, mental health continues to be a concern of a critical nature when we talk about the post-9/11 veterans. On average, veterans reported 6 service-related injuries and mental health problems, being more than twice as common as physical. On these, sleep problems were the leading issue at 78%, followed by PTSD at 75%, anxiety at 74%, and depression at 72%. So we got together with our community stakeholders this year, donors and partners alike, addressing those barriers to care, secondary supports, comorbidities, and effective comprehensive care that meets the needs of our own wounded veterans, their families, and the community. Because no veteran should be left behind. It doesn't matter which era of service you served in, who your family are, and what barriers for access you have. We as providers should be coming together to support you, and that's what we at NineLine are doing. Whether it's our outreach teams, whether it's our housing teams, whether it's our warehouse staff, all of them are dedicated in service to what you've done for this country. We unfortunately did have a severe loss in the military community this year with Woody Williams, Herschel Woody Williams from our VA Medical Center, who passed away, unfortunately, on June 29th. For those of you who don't know, Woody established the Woody Williams Foundation, which was also one of the individuals who was responsible for the new Gold Star Memorial in Washington State. Woody's done a lot for this country, and We are very grateful for his support and everything that he's done. So, thank you, Woody, for everything you've done, and we appreciate you, Marine. Also, on a lighter note, it was great to get back together with everyone this year. Due to COVID, of course, we've had many restrictions. And, as I've stated earlier, I can never turn down a great time to hang out with my sister, Shelly Willis. Shelly also is one of the founders of the Pierce County Community Engagement Task Force. This task force not only held its first in-person meeting since the pandemic on July 6th at Clarks Creek Park South in Tacoma, but it allowed providers in that workforce space and the Pierce County organizations to come together and talk about, nonetheless be eager to talk about, how to connect, engage, and then discussions centered around task force updates, as well as 4 pillars of wellness: environmental, social, financial, and physical. It was great to see everyone's smiling faces. Additionally, Team NineLine was proud to support this amazing initiative and its leadership as we continue as a collaborative to move forward in the new norm of things. Thank you to Shelly Willis and Tamara Jackson, because as we know, y'all are the mayor of Loop City, and we appreciate you. So Tamar, thank you again. And Shelly, always a pleasure. NineLine was able to be present for the unveiling of the National Suicide Prevention New Lifeline, 988. So, for those veterans and family members who need to access the Veteran Suicide Prevention Lifeline, you can now access it through 988, select 1. This will allow you to have a more memorable access point for those services, and also a better point of access to other resources in your community, to include your very own NineLine Veteran Services. Seahawks headquarters at the VMAC training facility allowed us at NineLine to come hang out and enjoy training camp this year. As partners of the Seattle Seahawks Task Force 12 initiative, myself, Veronica Davis, and one of our board directors, Jesse McAdams, were able to represent as proud members. Attending this year's training camp, proud to be present with our organizational partners like our friends at the Boeing Company, USAA, in partnership of the NFL Salute to Service program. We are proud to take part in this event to support our Seahawks, the initiative, and in our joint mission of service to those who served in their families. Anytime we get to hang out with the Seahawks is a great day, but anytime we get to hang out with our subsidiaries, our partners, and bring out staff for a nice day in the sun is never a bad day at NineLine. Then, our proud partners at the Boeing Company brought us out for leadership and kickoff for the Blue Angels, the U.S. Navy. No one's perfect. Go Army. And so many other amazing organizations in truly fashionable form at King County. This event, as many have come to know it, is referred to as Seafair. Seafair 2022 was amazing. We got to meet some amazing leadership from the U.S. Navy. I got to hang out personally with Shelly Hart, who, by the way, is so cool. And we got to talk about what resources and what events we'll be hosting throughout the year to better support our military population and our expansion through King, Snohomish, and parts of the northern part of the state. So it was, all in all, a great day. Myself and Veronica Davis were able to enjoy everything there. Then, once again, we got to hang out with some pretty cool people from the MITS Project. So, for those of you who don't know, Alonzo Mitz, retired Seattle Seahawks player, has the MITS Project, where he does his annual 2022 Celebrity Golf Tournament. We were able to partner with the MITS Project and enjoy some special guests, professional athletes, music industry professionals, and special prizes. The event itself brought in thousands of dollars for our military veterans, families, and, in NineLine's case, for our housing support and also additional employment training supplies. So we are extremely grateful to Alonzo Mitz and the Mitz Foundation. And sticking with our tradition of our partnership with the Task Force 12 and the Seattle Seahawks, we were able to partner with the Spirit of 12 partners. We spent the better part of 3 or 4 games, to also include Rainiers, Seattle Seahawks, selling raffle tickets. And the donations from these raffle tickets goes towards the Spirit of 12 partners and all 12 organizations underneath the Task Force 12 umbrella. Through support with Jesse McAdams, Veronica Davis, amazing volunteers like Mrs. Camber Good, and several of our community partners, we are grateful to be able to show that support, have a day out at the training camps, and raise money in support of all of our organizational missions. Thank you, Seattle. We appreciate you. This year, NineLine was able to bring on Miss Marie Stewart. Marie Stewart comes to us as our treasurer position with experience as a military child, sibling, friend, and spouse. She graduated with a BA in Business Administration with a minor in accounting from the University of Washington-Tacoma. They are also project managers and co-owners of South Sound Accounts, Bookkeeping and Payroll Services, LLC. We want to thank Marie for taking on this imperative role, and then also for her support as our treasurer as we continue to venture, grow, and support other organizations and program development. Thank you, Marie, for joining the team. Also, we want to thank Major Jesse McAdams in joining our board of directors with over 17 years of experience in the Army. Jesse served on active duty, both enlisted and officer, thank God, and his combat deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan. He is currently a major in the Army Reserve and is a battalion executive officer of a civil affairs battalion. His education consists of the BA in history from Pacific Lutheran University and an MBA with a concentration in finance from Indiana State University. Outside of the Army Reserve, he is a financial advisor with Thrivent, a local financial institution that does amazing things for us veterans. We thank Jesse for his standing up and accepting this new role, and truly thank him for his role in service to those who serve in their families, both in and out of uniform. Jesse, thank you. This year, we also received, as stated earlier, Boeing Inspires. Service Above Self and Boeing in Washington State came together to give us a global engagement grant. This global engagement grant allowed us to focus on employment and stable housing expansion project, which we proudly were selected for. Organizational's financial support and helping with this continued mission allowed us to build out additional support mechanisms and training opportunities for over 25 different veterans. These veterans received additional support services, training materials, clothes, and things that they would need to be successful in our warehouse operations, to include working with our external stakeholders on site at different locations. August 30th was a significant date for NineLine. To date, we celebrated 26 years of service above self. Our very own Scott Schultz proudly was NineLine's very first retiree. Scott did 2 terms of service in the U.S. Army, spanning 2 decades. He spent the last 26 years serving veterans as a leader in warehouse operations, overseeing an all-veteran workforce. With this to say, I am truly proud to leave knowing that this team is in good hands, leaving the office to John Thompson, NineLine Production Manager. We truly thank you, Scott, for your continued dedication in and out of uniform, and for your dedication and service to those who served and their families. You have always and will always be a proud member of the NineLine family, sir, and we thank you and welcome you to your well-deserved retirement. Congratulations, troop. Cool. Okay, so the next event that we were able to support and also be in attendance with was the It's VUCA premiere at the Edmond Center for the Arts. Myself, Shawn Durnen, along with my partner Veronica Davis, and our leadership was truly honored to attend the premiere of It's VUCA with our Task Force 12 partner Mike Schindler and Operation Military Family. Our amazing partner and dear friend Shelley Willis with Redefining You Foundation was also present. Their joint work in this amazing documentary sets a tone for growth, development, and understanding how volatility doesn't have to be negative. It may be the key to perseverance and courage in the presence of fear. It's VUCA is definitely a must-see for individuals seeking answers and a higher level of operating. Thank you, Mike, for the invitation and for your continued dedication to our veterans, military, and families. And then a big surprise to us this year at NineLine was the awarding of the Staff Sergeant Fox Grant. This grant helps veterans in the community every day. And now, as we do already, we'll be working with VA through the Staff Sergeant Parker Gordon Fox Suicide Prevention Grant Program. These funds will allow us to build additional peer support-based programming to include early preventive suicidal intervention training, screening, and support services throughout the process to ensure that the suicidal ideations are not acted upon and that the resources that the individual needs is connected with. This will also include case management, outreach, on top of the outreach, data management, program management, and so much more. This program happens to be the newest of NineLine's rolling out on 1 January and will support the rural veterans in 9 different counties across the state. We look forward to rolling this out and working with so many of you in these 9 rural areas. For more information on this, please see us on our website at www.9, the word, 9, the number, line.org. For any other questions, feel free to call us at the office at 253-922-7225. 10 years later, and there's Shawn Durnen and Tony Dayton supporting what was originally a group of veterans sitting in a room talking about mental health at the 2022 VA Summit on Behavioral Health, 10th annual. So 10 years ago, that's the same age as NineLine. That means that Tony Dayton and Shawn Durnen were members of the very first Behavioral Health Summit. That summit allows us to bring together community partners from all across the VA Puget Sound. Whether it's mental health, nursing support, social services, outreach, any of the above. It also allows us in the nonprofit sector, the federal sector, and state sector to come together and talk about cross-sectionality. That cross-sectionality allows us to build best practices and how we reference one another, utilize one another, refer to one another, and then also how we build out the support services imperative to sustaining mental health to the service members and their families. Several other community partners and our friends at the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs announce the snapshot every year and focus on how collaboration continues to save lives and how it's always never too late to intervene. And why not hang out with Jake Locker, the Tennessee Titan from the NFL? Who wouldn't want to do that? I had the privilege of going to this year's 9th annual. I had the privilege of going to the. No, let's get through this. Hold on, one second. Who wouldn't want to hang out with Jake Locker? Tennessee Titan for the NFL? Come on now. And he's a local boy? Yeah, let's do that. I found myself able to support and attend this year's 9th annual Tacoma Business Vision Luncheon, listening to innovative business leaders and how they connect to support our nonprofit community, especially with Team NineLine, and our continued mission to service to those who served and their families. Jake Locker even spoke about how the community, faith, and service changed his life and helped guide his mission in his time in Washington State and as a graduation of the UW. This community of leaders promises to build out growth and address the need in our most vulnerable families to include our SMVF populations. Keep tuned in as we continue to work with so many amazing leaders right into 2023. Thank you, Tacoma, because it's through innovation like this that you help us understand and grow together. This year also we were able to reach out and educate individuals on options when talking about workforce, employment, wellness, and organizations. Of course, we want to see our South Sound community go through secondary education, whether that's 2-4 years institutions of higher learning, college, trade schools, but also identifying pathways of unique roads and how people got there. As the president and CEO of NineLine Veteran Services, it is my unique honor to build out programming for support services, but I didn't get here in a traditional way. And that's what these videos that our workforce development teams out in Pierce County and Tacoma were able to highlight. My success did not come from my education. It came from my practical understanding of the community I'm serving, my practical lived experience with homelessness, hunger, addiction, being a single father in a community that was super supportive of me, and helping be able to pay that forward through my own lived experience. My education did help me, but it was not the successful cause of how I got to where I'm at. So through these Pathways series, myself and Tony Dayton, along with several other community members, talk to how we encourage, engage, and uplift the younger generation to understand that there's no right way to get where you're going, but there are options. So look out for that. NineLine spent the better part of last November appreciating our hard work with the recommendations from the U.S. Department of Labor. Congratulations, was said to us. Your company, NineLine Veteran Services, has been officially awarded the 2022 Gold Hire Vets Medallion Award. That was a message proudly received the morning from the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Labor in recognizing NineLine Veteran Services for efforts and accomplishments in hiring, retaining, and supporting a 100% military-owned, operated business, along with a 100% military-employed workforce. Folks, our model of care, our model of support, our model of housing, our model of employment, everything is tailored and focused on the military structure. Not just the veteran, not just the service member, not just the family member, the entire military culture. We want to encourage people to become independent thinking, independent living, to help them become stronger and better than when they came to us. Part of that is empowerment, education, and uplifting through a base concept of service above self. Everyone here at NineLine continues to embody that. And for us, our efforts in those services to be recognized by the U.S. Department of Labor is nothing short of amazing. So thank you, Mr. Secretary, for not only recognizing that, directly addressing us, but for this award, sir. We thank you so much. Our very own representative, Miss Marilyn Strickland, met with our very inquisitive and curious Vet Corps member, Joshua Lopez. They had a wonderful conversation about development with the South Sound Military and Community Partnership, how we're bridging the gap between the counties, what services were being rendered, and then what community infrastructure looks like. The South Sound Military and Community Partnership was actually kicked off perfectly with that introduction. With the week of planning, surprise announcements by Team NineLine with our Staff Sergeant Fox Grant, you're welcome. And our very own Joshua Lopez was able to ask questions and participate with community planning in support of our military, which means I threw him in and he had to figure it out. And that's okay, because he did a great job. Josh also got to meet with the former chair of the Pierce County Veterans Advisory Board, Mr. Gregory Gooch, also a personal friend of mine, and talk about what direction the Pierce County Advisory Board will be taking, and then how the best practices will be used and applied in engaging the veterans and families for the fiscal 2023 year. Much conversation was had and many plans were made. We look forward to seeing how this rolls out, and we thank Josh for his time and speaking with Representative Strickland and Mr. Gooch. And special Veterans Day announcement, as we got to hold it in. It was really hard. Josh told us we had to tell him, so we're telling. The Veterans Resource Fair. 10 years of service, and the last 2 we haven't been able to serve. The largest labor of love, our baby, of serving veterans and how we coordinate those services in the South Sound and nationally being recognized as one of the largest standout events west of the Mississippi. This year on April 15th, 2023, we will once again host our 10th annual Veterans Resource Fair at the Tacoma Dome. This event supersedes the birthday of NineLine Veteran Services itself. It is the very first of its application of this organization and will most likely be the very last. So that said, we thank you for all that this does, and we look forward to throwing this event for all of our military veterans, families, and their support network. Anyone who wants to work with veterans, know about veterans, needs access to services, needs support, or just needs to talk to someone, this event is for you. We're here to serve veterans, and this event always creates just that positive network. So if there's anything that you need, be there April 15th, 2023. Again, be there April 15th, 2023. I'm giving her all she's got, Scott. And then most recently, at the end of November, we were able to join again our teams at the Association of Washington State Business, or as we've come to know, the State Chamber of Commerce. So AWB once again recognized 3 individuals for the Washington Veterans and Families Award, sponsored by Boeing. The finalists were Amazon, Ravenox, and NineLine Veteran Services. And for those of you who already haven't seen it, hashtag We Beat Bezos is definitely going to go live. But in all fun and games, we did win the award. It's the second time we've won it because we also won the inaugural award. Because, hashtag We Beat Bezos is one of my favorite things at this point. But truly, Amazon, Ravenox, you both do amazing things for our military and veteran community. And we appreciate that very much. We also appreciate the continued support of Banner Bank in them hosting this annual event and being the main sponsor. And of course, our evening event excellence wouldn't be possible without our amazing partners at the AWB. NineLine is proud to be a member of the AWB and also a proud sponsor of different aspects of what the AWB does. So if you guys have any questions, I would highly recommend you reach out to the AWB because they are an amazing organization and they're doing great things statewide and supporting businesses, nonprofits, and things along those lines. And if you can't find hashtag AWB, just look for hashtag We Beat Bezos and it'll be okay. Thanksgiving ran around, and in the truest sense of being thankful for everything we've done this year and reflecting on everything we've talked about, it was also amazing to host two of our great community partners. One being Aaron Quiones from Q Missions, also owner of the Pop Smoke app, which is for suicide intervention, but also more so to build out your squad and support what's going on. Aaron Quiones also has Operation Pop Smoke, but Q Missions, which actually takes veterans out to other areas to help build housing for those individuals who don't have it. Typically in lots of different areas in South America, Panama, things of those locations. So we're very thankful for Aaron. He stopped by and gave us all some turkeys for our people in our houses, and we're extremely grateful for that. And then, of course, it is always an absolute pleasure and honor for me whenever Team NineLine gets to host one of our best partners at your Washington State Department of Veteran Affairs, Mr. Deputy Director himself, David Puentes. He visited and hosted a planning session with us in high hopes of collaboration for our two organizations in 2023, meeting goals in support of service to those who served. Thank you again, David. You have truly been an inspiration to us here at NineLine, and it has been great to get to know you over the last year. I think that everything that we're doing in collaboration and service to our veterans will make a huge difference for this upcoming year. And then, for us at NineLine and our State Suicide Prevention Governor's Challenge Collaborative, I was able to join two of my favorite people early on in the morning, which was both Dr. Larry Pruitt, Suicide Prevention Director for your U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, VHA, Puget Sound, and then also Representative Tina Orwell, who is a very close personal friend and an amazing representative of the state of Washington. We were able to go to the Capitol in representation of the Governor's Challenge team and talk to the new 988 emblem, which was unveiled that day, and then how the proceeds from the Washington State Department of Licensing will go to create a community grant fund for individuals who are creating additional mental health and suicide prevention resources, programming, and much more. Working with WDVA, VA, the University of Washington Forefront, Safer Homes initiatives, and so many more, we will have the ability to create the supports that are needed in order to downshift and get rid of, hopefully, the 22 a day initiative. And then, a couple things to close out 2022. Our very own Veronica Davis hosted, underneath a King County grant, the 2022 Art and Music Celebration of You, a service above self-recognition event. This event not only allowed us to host veterans, families, but also bring in members of the community to just celebrate them as individuals, to celebrate men, to celebrate women, to celebrate the growth of our organization, and to just show some love. This event hosted several people down at our gracious sponsor site of Q Missions for their venue, and we were allowed to do so much with that. So we thank you, Aaron and Holly, and all you amazing people down there, and we hope you all had a wonderful time. Veronica Davis, our operations director, was recently invited by Boeing for a collaborative discussion about the needs of our Pacific Northwest military community with their new Boeing Global Engagement Director of Veterans Outreach and Initiatives, Lynn Woodham, and fellow Boeing Our Heroes partners, to include Nicole Ayers from, as many of you know, the Stephen A. Cohen Military Family Clinic at Valley Cities, and several other community partners. This event brought forth planning, expediting services and support for 2023, and seeing what, as a collaborative, we can do to make change in the community and apply it to those who so sorely need it. And lastly, for the end of the year, before we say goodbye, I was able, along with our staff here at NineLine, to have our Season's Greetings holiday party. This ushered in, again, the closeout of our year. With one of our favorite traditions here at NineLine, we once again rocked the day away and began the traditional holiday closeout with our annual holiday party. Staff, friends, community members, and really our NineLine family sitting down sharing stories, breaking bread, and enjoying the success of a year well done. Congratulations, team, on an amazing year for your dedication and drive in service to those who served and their families. We are grateful and couldn't be more blessed with such kind, loving support and true dedicated difference makers in our mission of service above self. From our leadership, staff, and board of directors, we just want to say happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and God bless. Thank you all again, and we look forward to working with each and every one of you again in the new year. So as I do the closeout for this, I just want to thank all of you, our community stakeholders, our donors, our benefactors, our staff, our families, the individuals who help us grow every year, who help us support so many, and bridge gap and break down barriers for access to care to so many marginalized populations. From all of us here at Team NineLine, we want to wish you the happiest of holidays, and we look forward to continuing to work and build out this collaboration of care across the entire state and nationally in this beautiful United States of America. Thank you all. God bless. Hashtag We Be Bezos. America. Thank you all. God bless. Happy holidays.